So the votes are in, and here we are, guys. What is up? It is time for some Warhammer 40k lore. It is time for the Storm Lords. Interesting choice. I am actually applauding all of you guys. Well done. Good job. Well done. You guys know everything there is about me. That I like to do niche chapters, and this chapter is pretty as niche as you can get. Fuck the Nova Marines. The thing is with the Storm Lords that I find most enjoyable is that anytime you watch someone who's like playing in the tabletop and they're playing as the Storm Lords, you can always just sit back and laugh at them. And the reason why is that they always paint their models wrong. That's right. I have never seen someone paint their models correctly for the Storm Lords. They just take a look at like Google or Wikipedia and they just go, oh, okay, their helmet has to be yellow. Nope. Their helmet is based on what brotherhood they are part of. Their helmet is determined by that. It is not standard for it to be yellow. So despite the fact that some of my images here may be yellow, just know that I do have examples here like boink, where the helmets are different colors, and these are all Storm Lords. So let's ask the question, why is that? You see, the Storm Lords don't have the same iconography as the White Scars. The White Scars are very tribal, very nomadic. They like to use special iconography. They even put tribal markings on their helmet and paint, so that way it ties back in with their tribal heritage or tribal nature. But the Storm Lords are a little different. The Storm Lords are more codex compliant. The only real difference seems to be that they prefer the fast bikes and the land speeders, all that crazy shit, like the White Scars, and they don't call their companies, they call their companies brotherhoods. So, when it comes to looking at a Storm Lord, and you're like, oh, I wonder what company that Storm Lord is a part of, you look at his helmet. His helmet tells you what company he's a part of. You don't look at their pauldron, you don't look at their insignias. Their insignias and their pauldron are all going to be codex stuff. That's all that's going to be on their pauldrons. Is whatever codex approved symbol for like squads, like Devastator squads, hence the photos I have here. That's why I haven't changed much. And then, of course, the helmet changes color. It's like, oh, you're part of the 5th company, or I'm sorry, 5th Brotherhood. Your helmet would be black. Oh, you're part of the 3rd company. Then, well, your helmet's going to be red. This is the way their companies do it. They're 3rd brotherhoods. I keep calling them companies, but they're brotherhoods. That's my bad. Now, really to hammer out the Storm Lords, I do want to initiate this whole conversation with what is it about them that makes them so different compared to the White Scars? Because they're successors of the White Scars, and they're actually a second founding chapter. So they've had over 10,000 years to develop new traditions, new customs, new ways of thinking that the White Scars just don't have. So let's point out some of the small, minor differences between the two chapters. And there's actually a little bit, not too crazy like some of the Ultramarine chapters. So let's get into it. First off, they have a lack of caution. This is kind of odd, but they tend to just charge out into battle. They don't care to scout out their enemies sometimes. Sometimes they're just rushing to get into the fight. And this is because they have a deep spiritual belief that it brings greater glory to you to draw first blood on your opponent before anyone else in the fight. So if there's the White Scars, the Storm Lords, the Marauders, all these White Scar descendant chapters together on a planet, they will go before everybody. They will charge in ahead of everyone just to attack the enemy. They may not even know who the enemy is that they're attacking yet. They will charge in. This is a little odd because usually White Scars like to conduct proper surveillance and reconnaissance. They usually, do their hit and run tactics to just get an idea of what kind of force they're fighting. But they also like to consult with their Storm Seers. Their Storm Seers are essentially their librarians. And these Storm Seers will give them spiritual encouragement, but also spiritual guidance, saying, hey, the winds are with us, the animal spirits are fighting alongside us, charge out there, the tide is looking good based on what I'm seeing from the spirits. And then they charge out. Nope, not the Storm Lords. The Storm Lords do not do that. They just go right on ahead into the thick of it. Good luck. They also don't leave any tribal markings on their helmet, as I've stated earlier. They don't seem to put much tribal markings really on any of their armor piercings. The only pieces that they seem to put tribal markings on is just their iconography. That is it. The tribal marking, which is a skull with 3 lightning rods coming out of it, that's their tribal marking, and the only tribal marking. The only real thing that they have as far as customization goes, if you're a person who likes to customize your Space Marines, is if you're a veteran, they paint the laurel on their helmet, and it just has to be a color that you can notice. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific color. Nowhere has it said it has to be a specific color. So if your helmet is red, probably be a good idea to do a blue or green or even a purple laurel, just so that way it stands out. Now, their company colors, of course, do determine what you would contrast it with, so you do have to keep that in mind. But that's about it as far as painting the laurels on there. Another little difference between the Stormlords and the White Scars is that the Stormlords, they don't use clan tribal markings to determine what squad they're a part of. See, in the White Scars, they tend to do this. They may draw something like a skull on their shoulder pad of some sort of animal from Chagoris. And this could mean something like, hey, that dead animal there is super fast on Chagoris, and it's usually hunted by people. So you're probably part of the reconnaissance squad. Oh, hey, look, you got this stick with lightning on it, so you're probably part of some sort of heavy-hitting squad who just charges in, dishes out a lot of fire, and then dips out. Usually those kind of tribal markings. Not them. The Stormlords tend to prefer the more codex stuff. It's kind of odd. The more and more we talk about them, the more and more it seems like they're just basically Ultramarines who use fast deployment, fast bikes. That seems to be what they are, in all honesty. It just seems to be that way, where they're a mixture. If you were ever to play them on tabletop, the best way to play them would probably be just like that. Half of their rules are Ultramarines, half their rules are White Scars. Because that's honestly what they do. They seem to adhere to the Codex Astartes a lot more than the White Scars, who pretty much disregard it in most circumstances. So, despite all those differences, they do have a lot of strong similarities. Like, they do have an intense spirituality to them about animal spirits, the spirits of the wind, spirits of the earth, the spirits of their own forefathers. They seem to have this strong tribal identity where it's almost magical. Now, they do have a lot of similarities with White Scars as far as battles, obviously. Like, they tend to deploy a shit ton of bikes and land speeders for just about any engagement. Never would you usually see a dreadnought, but there is a few that exist. So, that's one of the nice things about this chapter. It doesn't have that much differences. Now, let's get to the real interesting history bits that we do have about this chapter. There's not a whole lot. That's why 8 minutes of this video is just simply me talking about the minor differences. Now, the history behind this chapter is that they actually have a lot of engagements with the orcs all the way back to like the 31st millennium when they were a part of the War of the Beast saga. In fact, some of their own members were the founding members of the Death Watch. So they have an intense hatred for Xenos, an intense hatred for orcs in particular. That seems to be their specialty, is charging out against the greenskins. They also seem to have a deep, deep hatred for just fighting the damn things, as everywhere they go, they usually seem to be engaged with the greenskins. There's only been like 3 engagements, if I can remember correctly, of the books that they're mentioned in where they're not fighting greenskins. I could be wrong on that. But just 3 engagements, like, fuck, dude. That's not a whole lot. Out of the countless engagements that they've been in, only 3 of them were not against greenskins. So they've obviously had a huge part in the War of Armageddon. They actually pop up quite a bit there. They also pop up a little bit with the War of the Beast, as I've said earlier. But when it comes to their feasting halls in their own fortress monasteries, it has been said to be lined with just tons of loot from orcs, whether it's dead orc war bosses, maybe just decapitated squigoths, all sorts of nice things lying around their halls for their stormseers to reconcile and tell the new initiates, or to just relive with the veterans the stories of old of how they acquired these heads of squigoths, heads of war bosses, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, being a chapter that is very small in the lore, we don't understand much like where could their world be, how do they recruit, what makes their recruiting style so unique, what makes it where they pick out these tribal individuals to join their ranks. Is there any differences genetically from them to the White Scars? Like, do they have any failed organs? Everything with them seems hunky-dory, honestly. It's just that the way that they operate seems like a mixture between Ultramarines and White Scars, which is unique. Very, very unique. You don't see that often. But also their carelessness, the fact that they just charge into battle and they give zero fucks about, reconnaissance or consulting with their storm seers. No, they don't do that. They just go in because to them it's a deep cultural honor to the chapter to get first blood. They will ride out there just to kill the orc war boss before anybody else, just because they want to hang their dicks above everyone else and go, we did it first. We're the badasses here. You guys are just janitors. You guys just came in and cleaned up my mess. That's right. Sloppy seconds for everybody. And that's what essentially the Stormlords are going to be. Now, I actually wish I'd see more of them. I wish I would see more people playing them in tabletop, just because I don't think their painting style is really that bad. You just gotta make it where their backpack is black. Their helmet could be whatever color you want. I just get tired of seeing it yellow all the fucking time, because yellow means that they're all part of the second company, which is not likely, especially since you guys don't seem to give veteran status to them, which makes no sense. So I would love to see more of them. The idea between an Ultramarine mix with a White Scar would definitely be a little interesting, where to see the Stormlords stop using land speeders, stop using the bikes, just so that way they can use dreadnoughts, Devastator Marines, Terminators, stuff that you usually do not see a White Scar doing. But they could probably pull it off. They could probably pull it off exceptionally well. So, besides that, this has been Free to 700. I am out. I hope you guys learned a lot. Like, maybe stop coloring the damn helmets yellow. That would be great. Besides that, see you guys next time.